School board meeting of September the 5th, 2023 is called to order. Mr. Wozniak, would you do the invocation and the pledge for us today?
Yes, ma'am. Lord, be with us during this meeting in dealing with the agenda at hand. May we treat others' opinions with respect. May we learn how to reject ideas without rejecting people and share visions, although we may not share the same means. May this meeting be for each of us an opportunity to be servants to the people we represent. We humbly ask this in your name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Oh, excuse me. Before we do roll call, we have some employees that have passed that we would like to recognize.
Let's please have a moment of silence for the following individuals who recently passed away. Celestine Thomas, retired school teacher. Gladys McCabe, retired school teacher. Alice Elliott, retired school paraprofessional. Diana Talamo, retired school teacher. And Houston Abe Abair, retired school teacher. Thank you very much.
Roll call.
Mr. Michael Agord.
Here.
Mr. Gregory Harding.
Here.
Mr. Matthew Ford.
Here.
Mrs. Debbie Benoit.
Here.
Mr. Don Crowdis.
Here.
Mr. Clyde Hamner.
Here.
Mr. Roger Dale DeHart. Dr. Maybelle Trahan.
Here.
And Mr. Dane Barzan.
Here.
Madam President, you have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Item number 5 on the agenda, approval of minutes of school board meeting of August the 1st, 2023.
So moved.
Recommendation that the board approve the minutes of the school board meeting of August 1st, 2023 as recorded.
So moved.
Mr. Hamner, second by Mr. Wozniak. Public comment. Mr. Hamner, Mr. Wozniak. Any other board members? Any objections? None heard, so ordered. Item number 6, meeting announcements. On the 19th of September, we'll have our committee meetings at 5 o'clock, starting with Finance, Insurance, and Section 16 Lands, followed by Executive Committee, Buildings, Food Service, and Transportation, and ending with Education, Technology, and Policy Committee. On October the 3rd, we will have the October regular school board meeting. Do I have a motion for deviation?
Madam President, I have a motion to deviate from the regular agenda to move ahead to Superintendent Item A2, the Proclamation of Constitution Week. Calling for a unanimous second.
Do we have a unanimous second? Any objections? Any public comment? Any other school board member comment? None heard, so ordered. So we're going to move to the first, the item on the superintendent's agenda.
You want me to read it, Don?
Yes.
Okay, the recommendation for this item is that the board approve the following proclamation recognizing September 17th through the 23rd, 2023 as Constitution Week.
So moved.
Second by? So moved by Mr. Hamner. I was looking the other way. Second by Mr. Ford. Any public comment? Mr. Hamner? Mr. Ford?
No, ma'am.
Any other board members? Any objections? None heard, so ordered.
I'd like to read the proclamation.
Yes.
So I'll read the proclamation. It goes as follows. Whereas our founding fathers, in order to secure the blessings of liberty for themselves and their posterity, did ordain and establish a Constitution for the United States of America. Whereas it is the greatest importance that all citizens fully understand the provisions and principles contained in the Constitution in order to support, preserve, and defend it against all encroachment, Whereas the 236th anniversary of the signing of the Constitution provides a historic opportunity for all Americans to realize the achievements of the framers of the Constitution and the rights, privileges, and responsibilities it affords. And whereas the independence guaranteed to the American citizens, whether by birth or naturalization, should be celebrated by the appropriate ceremonies and activities during Constitution Week, September 17th through the 23rd, as designated by proclamation of the President of the United States of America in accordance with Public Law 915. Now therefore it resolved that the Terrebonne Parish School Board, in conjunction with the Bayou Lafourche chapter of the National Society, Daughters of the American Revolution, does hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd, 2023, as Constitution Week in the schools of Terrebonne Parish, and does urge all students to study the Constitution and reflect on the privilege of being an American with the rights and responsibilities that privilege involves. Be it further resolved that the copies of this proclamation be forwarded to all Terrebonne Parish public schools and office buildings.
Thank you. Miss Mary Gidry is here. Welcome.
Thank you. I encourage, everyone, schools, even the general public, to read the history of the Constitution and how it came about. There is a lot of history in it, and it wasn't declared to be celebrated until in the 1900s, that it was a week dedicated to recognize the Constitution. So there's a lot of history in it. So, and I know Mr. Ford always has a pocket copy of the Constitution with him.
So do I. Carry one in my purse.
And and if anybody's never really read it, you need to, because it is, your rights.
And I think we have a copy of the proclamation from Ms. Gidry.
Yes. Thank you.
Matt, just say something. I don't think she saw it over here.
Item number 7. Oh, yes.
So thank you, Ms. Gidry, for coming out and being a part of this proclamation. I'm glad you mentioned that. I do keep a copy here. I have one in my bag, I have one in my truck, and it's something that I bring up as a conversation piece as often as possible. As a 17-year-old, I took an oath to protect and to protect the people of this country and to live in accordance with that Constitution. And I had no idea what I was swearing to. So it was at that time I was in the USO at the Chicago O'Hare Airport whenever there was a lady there, and she was in her 60s, maybe early 70s, and she said, "So you're going into the Navy, what does that mean to you?" And I told her, I said, "This is an opportunity for me to get out of my hometown and be on my own." And she handed me a copy of the Constitution. She said, "That's the wrong answer, son. This is the answer I was looking for." And she educated me on the Constitution and what it means to be a part of the greatest military in the world. And, it was kind of eye-opening at that moment. And now every chance I get, like I said, I bring it up. I want to talk about it. And I'm just glad that we're doing this, because now more than ever, our general populace needs to not just know that document, but needs to be aware of its relevance and its importance. So thank you, Ms. Gidry. Thank you.
Ms. Benoit.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Tron. I'd also like to thank Ms. Guidry for coming forth and every year having someone come and recognize Constitution Week and having us sign this proclamation. I think it's important too that, within the resolution, we say that we're going to encourage students to read the Constitution and learn about it, that Superintendent Ogeron addressed the fact that we do have a grade that's reading the Bill of Rights, the Federalist Papers, all the things that go with the Constitution. Is it fourth grade that is doing that?
Fourth or fifth, I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
But it's one of the two, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so if you just want to say a couple of words about what's happening with that.
One thing I do want to say is we do have a meeting, our chapter meeting this coming Saturday, and I know past years we've never done as the chapter anything with any of the schools themselves, and I do want to initiate something like adopt one of the schools and get a program going in one of the schools during Constitution Week. And I want to, initiate that. And with Mr. Ford's hand, he was in the Navy, and that's when he was really introduced to the Constitution. I'm very proud to say I have 2 grandsons that are in active Navy right now. And one of them is in the combat unit in the Navy, and one's been on 2 aircraft carriers. So, yeah, so we're very proud of them and doing very well in the Navy.
Very good.
So,
Thank you, Ms. Mayor.
thank you.
So-
LaGuard.
Yeah, as a former social studies teacher, I love the Constitution, and as a student of the law, I love the Constitution, and the Constitution, it stands for a lot of things. A lot of people, the good part about it, take it and twist it for the meaning of it, but I really think it's important. I got 2 sons who studied it in law school, and an older son who graduated, even though we don't practice law, he just graduated, and they understand how important it is for the Constitution. I think everyone in my family done studied the Constitution. Maybe I think I may get my wife to study, and then I accomplish something when that happens. But it's very important to understand what's the Constitution mean. Very, very important, because if that wasn't the case, a lot of us wouldn't have the rights that we have today, And I done been to the Supreme Court several times, and watched them. Matter of fact, my cousin Ben got a case coming up in about 2 months in his own Constitution at the Supreme Court. So I love the Constitution as well.
The Monday of Constitution Week, I will have a display at the library with some of the pocket Constitution.
Very good. Thank you. All right.
Anyone else? Thank
So
you.
I'll speak to Ms. Benoit's point. So our social studies curriculum is very vertically aligned, and around the 4th and 5th grade is where we get the American history. And Ms. Benoit provided to me some easy to understand literature on both, like she said, the Federalist Papers and the Constitution. So we're carving out segments of time to incorporate that into our lessons. So it's very kid-friendly pictures that really have a lot of description in the artwork of those 2, and gives kids a really strong understanding of both those documents. So thank you for that, and that is
Sure.
happening.
And I think it was appropriate time to be able to tell the public about that, with it being Constitution Week. And I thank you for implementing that.
Thank you. Item number 7, board committee meeting reports. 7A, education. Ms. Benoit.
All right, thank you, Dr. Trahan. The Education, Technology, and Policy Committee met at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, August 15th, in the boardroom of the school board office with the following members present: myself, Mr. Matthew Ford, Vice Chair, and Mr. Don Crowders was absent. Also in attendance were Dr. Maybelle Trahan, Mr. Dane Voisin, Mr. Clyde Hamner, Mr. Greg Harding, Superintendent Bubba Ogeron, and members of his staff. The first recommendation was that the committee recommended that the board approve and accept as presented the following revised policy file E-1.1C, school and student safety. Moved by Mr. Ford, second by Mr. Crowdis. Any public comment? Mr. Ford?
I do have a comment, and it's going to be about this and a few other policy changes we have coming up this evening. I just want everyone, especially those that aren't here and that are paying attention online, I want you to keep in mind where these policy changes come from. Now, they are written and proposed to us by a company named Forethought, and they specialize in writing these policy, and they specialize in the laws that are associated with it. But at many different levels, these policies are brought about because we're either remedying a problem or taking something that's been used or misused and fixing it. Okay, so this isn't something that we just sit around and say, hey, let's figure out a way that we can put more policies and procedures in place to, make more work for ourselves. These are actually policies that are written in response to things that have happened, whether they happen here in Terrebonne Parish or somewhere else in the state. So we need to keep that in mind, because I think people sometimes feel like they're being targeted. Different groups feel being targeted by these policies, but that's not it at all. This is coming from Forethought, which is coming from state legislation, and it's for a reason. A lot of the things we're going to go over tonight are for specific reasons and something that we deem necessary to run our district smoothly. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ford, for that explanation. Mr. Crowdis, do you have anything? Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved.
And Ms. Benoit, can I
Yes.
add to Mr. Ford's comment? And this is a common comment we make, is that most of the discussion, if not all of the discussion on these policies, has already occurred in our committee meetings. So there's a lot of opportunity for all board members and public to comment on these policy changes at that time. So we're just kind of reviewing kind of what was already discussed from the previous meeting. Just wanted to make that point.
Yes, thank you for that point as well. Recommendation number 2, that the committee recommends that the board approve and accept as presented the following revised policy file H-2.1 attendance.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Ford, second by Mr. Crowdis. Any public comment? Mr. Ford? Mr. Crowdis? Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Recommendation number 3, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept as presented the following revised policy file H-2.1A, student absences and excuses.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Ford,
Second.
second by Dr. Trahan. Any public comment? Mr. Ford? Dr.
No,
Trahan?
ma'am.
Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Recommendation number 4, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept as presented the following new policy file E-3.1B, carpool and bus safety line.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Ford,
Second.
second by Dr. Trahan. Public comment? Mr. Ford?
No, ma'am.
Dr. Trahan? Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Number 5, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept as presented the following revised policy file H-3.6C, administration of medication.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Ford, second by Mr. Borzan. Any public comment? Mr. Ford?
There was one comment, just so the public is aware. One of the additions to this policy is it's not just the allowance, but the requirements for schools and school districts to have available medication called naloxone. Most of you know it as Narcan. Narcan is just a brand of that actual medication. And like I mentioned in the first motion, this has come about because there's a need for it. Okay, it's very unfortunate that we live in a day and age where we have to have this medication on hand at our schools, but that's the reality we face now. So this is just one of those things that we're doing to be proactive and to try to battle this continuous fight that we have with the use and overabuse of medications and whatnot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Ms. Borzan? Any board members? Yes, Mr. Crowdis?
So going along with what Mr. Ford just said, so about 2 or 3 months ago, I was fortunate to be able to be invited to give a presentation on some of the opioid issues in the community. And so just to give the audience and the community an example of what we're talking about. So one of the medications that's on the street out there is something called fentanyl. And so to give you an idea of what we're talking about, if we were to categorize opioids, and if morphine would be a potency of, say, 1, okay, as the base, as the standard, fentanyl would be a 100, okay? So fentanyl is 100 times more potent than morphine, okay? And in the administration on a daily basis at work, I'm there to control the amount of that drug that's given to a patient. But what happens to people on the street, they have no idea of the amount of drug that is in or laced with the marijuana or the other drug that they're consuming. And a lot of times these young kids, they're consuming 10, 15 times the amount of fentanyl, and that's why they just stop breathing. It's not like they're trying to breathe and can't. They're not even trying to breathe. So just to give the audience, to take that message out to the community, you guys sitting here, take it to the community, take it to your nieces, your nephews, your children. Fentanyl is a very powerful, very potent opioid, and it's extremely dangerous.
Thank you, Mr. Crown. Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Recommendation number 6, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept as presented the following new policy file G-3.10, continuous learning. Moved by Mr. Ford, second by Mr. Crowdis. Any public comment? Mr. Ford?
I have a comment. So this is on continuous learning. This is put in place in the event that we have to, we come across another situation like Hurricane Ida or even COVID. But there is one point of clarity I need to make, and I want to make sure I'm on the right basis here. At the end of the first paragraph, it says, it shall be updated annually by June 30th and reviewed by stakeholders. So what they're referring to is a continuous learning plan. I want to assume when they say annually by June 30th, it's for the upcoming academic school year. Is that correct? Okay. I know it's kind of goes without saying, but it's not really stated in there, and I just want to make sure. Okay, thank you.
All right, lost my page. Who was the, oh, Mr. Crowdis, okay. Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Recommendation number 7, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept as presented the following revised policy file B-11.6, teleconference remote participation in school board meetings. Moved by Mr. Ford, second by Dr. Trahan. Any public comment? Mr. Ford and Dr. Trahan?
No, ma'am.
Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Recommendation number 8, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept as presented the following revised policy file B-12.8, public participation in school board meetings. Moved by Mr. Ford, second by Dr. Trahan. Any public comment? Mr. Ford? Dr. Trahan? Any board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Recommendation number 9, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept as presented the following revised policy file F-10.17, time schedules, non-instructional support personnel. Moved by Mr. Ford, second by Mr. Crowdis. Any public comment? Mr. Ford? Mr. Crowdis? Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. Recommendation number 10, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept as presented the revised pupil progression plan for the 2023-24 school year. Moved by Mr. Ford, second by Dr. Trahan. Any public comment? Mr. Ford? Dr. Trahan? Any board members? Hearing none, so moved. Recommendation number 11, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept as presented the revised personnel evaluation program for 23-24 school year. Moved by Mr. Ford, second by Dr. Trahan. Public comment? Mr. Ford? Dr. Trahan? Any board member comment? Any objections? Hearing none, so moved. There being no further business, I turn it back over to you, Dr.
Thank you, Ms. Benwell. Next item is 7B, the Finance, Insurance, and Section 16 Lands Committee. Mr. Hamner.
The Finance, Insurance, and Section 16 Lands Committee met immediately following the 5 p.m. Education, Technology, and Policy Committee meeting on Tuesday, August 15, 2023, in the boardroom of the School Board Office with the following members present: myself, Chairman, Mr. Mike Lagarde, Vice Chairman. Also in attendance were Dr. Maybelle Trahan, Mr. Dane Voisin, Ms. Debbie Benoit, Mr. Matt Ford, Mr. Greg Harding, Superintendent Bubba Angeron, and members of the staff. The meeting was called to order. Mr. Constranza, Risk Manager, addressed the committee regarding the minutes from the Insurance Advisory Committee meeting held on August 3, 2023. Mrs. Brooke Brunet, Benefit Associates and Consultant for Hub International, addressed the committee regarding the group health claim statistics for the first 6 months of 2023. Mr. Constranza then addressed the committee regarding the renewal of group and individual life insurance. Recommendation number 1, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept the renewal from Companion Life Insurance Company through Alfred and Associates for group and individual life insurance effective October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2026, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto. So moved. Moved by Mr. Ford. Second. Seconded by Mr. Voisin. Anybody in the audience wish to address this motion? Mr. Ford? Mr. Voisin? Any other members of the board? Any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. Ms. Bro, Chief Financial Officer, and Mr. Adam Laporte, Grant Specialist for All South Engineering, presented an update on Hurricane Ida regarding FEMA. And then Mrs. Michelle Klingman, Supervisor of Finance, presented information on the monthly budget to actual comparison report and gave an update on the sales tax collection reports. There being no further business to come before the Finance, Insurance, and Section 16 Lands Committee, the meeting adjourned at 6:20 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Hamner.
I'll turn the meeting back over to you.
Next item, 7C, is the Executive Committee report. Dear members of the board, the Executive Committee met immediately following the 5 p.m. Education, Technology, and Policy Committee and the Finance, Insurance, and Section 16 Lands Committee meetings on Tuesday, August 15, 2023, in the boardroom of the School Board Office with the following members present: myself, President, Mr. Dane Voisin, Vice President, Mr. Michael Lagarde. Also in attendance were Mr. Clyde Hamner, Ms. Debbie Benoit, Mr. Matthew Ford, Mr. Gregory Harding, Superintendent Bubba Ogeron, members of his staff. The meeting was called to order. The Executive Committee examined and authorized payment of invoices for the current month. This includes supplemental payroll and travel expenses. There were no committee member concerns at that time. I need a motion to accept the report.
So moved.
By Mr. Voisin. Second by Ms. Benoit. Any public comment? Mr. Voisin?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Benoit? Any other board members? Any objections? None heard, so ordered. There being no further business to come before the Executive Committee, the meeting was adjourned at 6:23 p.m. Item 7D, Buildings, Food Service, and Transportation Committee. Mr. Voisin.
Thank you, Madam President. The BFT Committee met immediately following the 5 p.m. Education, Technology, and Policy Committee, Finance, Insurance, and Section 16 Lands Committee, and Executive Committee meetings on Tuesday, August 15, 2023, in the boardroom of the School Board Office with the following members: myself as Chair, Mr. Harding as Vice Chair, Dr. Trahan. Also in attendance were Mr. Hamner, Mr. Ford, Ms. Benoit, Mr. Lagarde, Superintendent Ogeron, and members of his staff. Recommendation number 1, the committee recommends that the board approve and authorize the Child Nutrition Department to advertise for 6-month bids for meats and frozen items and canned and dry goods for the 2024 spring session, January 1, 2024 through June 30, 2024. Funds to be derived from the Child Nutrition Program Fund. So move, Mr. Harding.
Second.
Second, Dr. Trahan. Any public comments? Mr. Harding? Dr. Trahan?
No, sir.
Other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Recommendation number 2, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept the lowest bid received meeting all specifications for the building repair project in response to Hurricane Ida at Lisa Park Elementary and Oakshire Elementary Schools from Freetown Builders LLC, 313 Garden Street, Lafayette, Louisiana, 70501. In the amount of $954,000 and establish a total project budget in the amount of $1,057,798. Funds to be derived from FEMA reimbursement funds, $952,018.20, and local funds, $105,779.80, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto.
So moved.
So moved, Dr. Ms. Benoit. Second, Mr. Ford. Any public comments? Ms. Benoit?
No, sir.
Mr. Ford?
I just want to point out, we're going to have a number of recommendations here for construction, and this is the silver lining that I've been talking about. We're still getting better schools and only paying 10%. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. Recommendation number 3, the committee recommends that the board approve and accept the substantial completion dated July 9, 2023 for the abatement project at Acadian Elementary School, subject to the punch list. Upon completion of the punch list and final inspection and receipt of the lien-free certificate, authorize the release of retainage, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto.
So moved.
So move, Mr. Harding. Second, Ms. Benoit. Any public comments? Mr. Harding? Ms. Benoit?
No, sir.
Any other board members? Any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. And then we had several project managers present and keep us updated, and architects as well at the committee meeting. A motion by Dr. Trahan was seconded by Mr. Harding without objection to allow Superintendent Ogeron to give an updated first week of school. At the time, Superintendent Ogeron gave a report of the first week of school, including extensive discussion concerning transportation issues in our system. He said that we would be placing an agenda topic relative to a substantial increase in bus driver salaries on the September board meeting, which is tonight, for board members' approval. There being no further business to come before the BFT committee, I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Trahan.
Thank you, Mr. Wazan. Superintendent's agenda, Mr. Ogeron.
Okay, the first item is an update on transportation. The recommendation is that the board approve as presented the bus driver salary proposal effective July 1st, 2023.
So, second.
Moved by Mr. Ford, second by Mr. Hamden. Do I have a unanimous second? We have a unanimous second. Any comments, Mr. Ford, Mr. Hamden? Any other board members? None heard, so ordered. Any objections? Any public comment? I'm sorry, I almost forgot that one. Any public comment? Any objections? None heard, so ordered.
Yes. Okay, I have a presentation,
Yes.
Dr. Trahan. Okay, so we're in our 5th week of school. And as of 5 weeks, or as of four weeks and a day, transportation appears to have improved. And we have a few drivers in the audience, and it's thanks to you guys. So thank you for adapting to a new system and making it work, giving us feedback on how to fix it. Because we had a couple of rough days. We did. They were rough. Y'all came to the table, sat in that office, gave feedback. I talked to some of you Other board members have talked to some of you, and you had ideas to make it better, but you didn't say no from the get-go. You took your new routes, your new system, and you said, let's make it happen. 2 rough days, it started to get better. How much better did it get? And I kind of shared this with a lot of the audience already, but I think it's worthy of being mentioned again. Last year, what does that even mean, 54 late buses? What does that mean to the educational system? It means this: kids were missing instructional minutes by the gobs. You know, I mean, thousands of minutes by 54 buses. And we're talking 40 minutes late. I've said this before. We had a problem. And we wanted to fix that one in particular. To me, that was our whole mission rode on getting kids to school on time so we can educate them as our mission says. This year, we're at 8. And this week and last week, that 8 has improved to 4. Miss Melissa checks it every day. We look at GPS, and she gives me the number every day. 4 late last week on average. So 8's even better than when this presentation was done. Afternoon. What does 132 buses late every afternoon mean for kids and families? It means this. Some kids have practices, whether it's dancing, sports, art lessons, tutoring, you name it. There are things after school. There are family things that you do after school. When they're getting home an hour later than normal, those things get missed or they get pushed back, or it causes parents to kind of have to make arrangements that they're not ready to make. That was a problem. Not to mention, our teachers were having to adjust with their families at home, right? Not only were you just working later, but you had to figure out how to make it work at home. It was a problem, and I heard it loud and clear. So far this year, with the adjustments our drivers made, we're at 19. Now, that number's creeping up. It's more than 19. It's probably doubled. So my point in saying that is this. We've done some things. We've did community stops, no service zones, and 2 runs on the east side. That's kind of helped us fill in some vacant routes, but we still have vacant routes. We still have vacant routes. We still have some, we can't find enough drivers to fill everything. So y'all are doing double duty still, correct? So they're doing double runs. They do their run, they'll come back and get another load of students and bring them home. That's still happening. We need to fix that still. So the question is this. We knew this, we were short drivers. The question is this: how can we get more? Where are we going to get more drivers? Where are they going? We're losing them. Where are they? And the next one is why? Why are they leaving? So I met with some of these ladies in the back here and others, and Mr. Torbert as well. We sat in our office and we discussed some of these factors. Here's why they're leaving us. We don't pay enough. So I'm proposing tonight that we start the base pay of bus drivers at $26 an hour. Okay? That's going to go from 19 and some change per hour to $26 an hour. That number there is going to get us higher than many of the local agencies that typically draw our drivers after we train them. Council on Aging, TARC, Pelican Waste, all of these different groups. Our drivers train. Why do they leave? Very easy. They're making more money. Doing the same basic job, I guess, in a way, driving. Okay? This number here unquestionably puts us ahead of all these groups, plus adjacent school districts like Lafourche, like Assumption, like St. Mary. Even St. Charles, it puts us ahead per hour than districts like that. With that said, here's the scale. Another thing that we looked at, a bus driver at year 0, first-year bus driver, compared to a 30-year bus driver, there was only a $2,000 range between those salaries. So I can stay here 30 years and I've only made $2,000 more than when I first started 30 years ago. Or that somebody who just started yesterday, more likely something like that, right? In this proposal, I'm asking that we adopt this scale and put a $6,000 range in salaries. That gives a $200 a year increase for every driver, to the point that we'd be making at year 30, $34,080 So that's that $6,000 range, $200 a year. Before it was like 40-something dollars a year. That's what we were making more every year. Not a whole lot of incentive to come back for money. That's what this would do. The 40-hour drivers, we have 40-hour drivers. We have 13 40-hour drivers. Those drivers would get, according to this proposal, a 10% increase from where they're at now, 10% at the starting with a $200 increment every year. Again, that would put them at a $6,000 range from year 0 to year 30, 10%. That's a big chunk. The other groups, we have 3 other groups. We have dispatchers, we have fleet coordinator. Those 2 in particular, we have 3 people in those positions. We'd add 10% to their salary as well, 10%. Secretary and supervisor, what I'm asking is that we look at that, since this is what I'd consider phase 1, we look at those with phase 2 with the other people that match that category of employment. So when we do secretaries, they'd be included in that. When we do supervisors, he'd be included in that group. Not at this time. Phase 1 would just be behind the wheel drivers, dispatcher and coordinator. I just put it for instance. Why 6,000? Well, teachers have a $12,000 range from year 0, which rightly so, it should be that way. So we're taking half and putting a $6,000 range. So phase 2. So that's phase 1. And people ask, well, what about other groups? We have a plan for other groups, every group, every employee. Our immediate need is phase 1. That's immediate. We've got to fix that. We don't want this to snowball and get worse than where we're at right now. We're not perfect. I believe we can get close to perfect with enough drivers. I really believe that. We have 10, any given day, 12 vacant routes. Am I correct right now? Vacant. It's around 12 vacant that we're still covering for, and we're covering for bus drivers who may miss for whatever reason. They're ill, so they're all filling in, doubling up. We get more drivers, we can fix that problem. We're pretty confident. That's phase 1. It's immediate. You can't survive without getting the kids to school. I saw one school district, they're paying parents. We can't afford to pay parents. That's $100 million to do that. I mean, that's not where we're at. And kids need rides to school. You can't teach them if they're not there. It's very simple. Phase 2. Every other non-instructional, they're getting 10% on this check coming up in September, if they hadn't got it already. The board approved the 5%, which was huge. That was a big one. That's happening right now. So they're getting that. We're studying. And when I say studying, I'm not saying that we're looking at it, and we're at the point we're trying to fine-tune how we're going to pull this off. Like it's not a thought. We're on paper trying to get this so that we can go 10% for those non-instructional people as well. We believe we can do this. I'm not ready to kind of divulge the details of that. That's coming when we're a little bit further along, but I just want people to know that group is going to be taken care of. Instructional. We have some instructional. An instructional person in the audience. You're getting 5% coming up in September, okay? We're looking at how we can do 10% on top of that, okay? It's coming. I don't know timelines. I'm not ready to kind of get to that point. We have a lot of discussing to do with the board. Has a lot of discussion to happen, and so that we're confident we can say, let's roll, let's do it, okay? With that said, also, the state is going to kick in for instructional, 2,000, and for non-instructional, 1,000. We've just received that money, so we're going to give this in November. So that's when teachers will get that money. That's on top of everything else. And in addition to that, we feel confident we can do a 5% supplemental in the spring. Okay? It's a lot of numbers for, but that's how much we value our employees. You guys, and everybody else. You can't survive without people. And we don't want to lose them, we want to keep them. So that's kind of what we have in the works. There's a lot of discussion with finance, with Dr. Trahan about where we're headed next, but we've got some really exciting possibilities to make this happen. So with that said, that's the proposal. And on this sheet here, it has all the details of what I just kind of went through. Here with the salary schedule on the back. And in the paragraph up top, it has dispatcher and fleet coordinator with the 10% added to those categories.
It's a very exciting time for our parish, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Our board couldn't be more unanimously in support of all of these plans. Why did we start with the bus driver? Well, in my mind, it's simple. All of our jobs depend on the kids being in the school building. Without the kids being in the school building, nobody else has a job. So we have to get the kids to school and back safely and on time so that all the rest of us can do what we need to do. And it's like Mr. Ogeron said, I want to restate that it's not just a statement we make, and we are in the midst of working on something for all the other groups. We will have something soon. So we are very excited, and I'm just so pleased to be part of the board during this experience. And I want to thank Mr. Ogeron and his staff for all the hard work y'all are doing to make this happen. And thank you, bus drivers and employees, for being here tonight. We appreciate all you do. I always said I worked in the schools for quite a few years at different jobs, teacher, master teacher, assistant principal, before I retired. And the one job I said I would never do is drive a bus. Because being on that open highway with all being responsible for the safety and well-being of those 60 those babies in the back of that bus, that's a big responsibility that these people take on. And they're out on the open road. And I really look up to you for what you do. Thank you. Ms. Benoit.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Trahan. I am in so support of this. We've been knowing for a long time that the transportation issue was major for us. Also for the parochial schools that we also bus to school, they're in the same boat. You know, they get to school late as well. The thing about it is it's not only, we tried to solve this problem with advertisement. I know all of you saw these signs all over the parish. We need bus drivers. That didn't seem to do the trick. We trained them thinking that was the trick. That wasn't the trick. People left and went other places. I really think this is the deal that's going to get us the bus drivers we need and the amount of bus drivers we need to transport these kids. The other thing is all of those the additional routes that y'all make, we so appreciate that. But that's a safety issue too, you know, trying to get very many people to school within the same time. I mean, that has to be stressful on you to know that you have to get these kids, pick them up and get them to school on time. We're not going to have that issue if we have enough bus drivers. This is a no-brainer. We have to do this for these drivers that get our kids to school. It's important. Thank you.
Mr. Ford?
A little over a year ago, Mr. Ogeron and I met with some of the bus drivers to discuss the concerns that they had, and without getting into detail about what their concerns were, not one of them said, if you pay us more, we're going to work harder. That wasn't the case. It was other logistical issues that we needed to work out, but it was at that moment that we realized how underpaid and underappreciated they felt. So it was definitely something that needed to happen. But I want you guys to remember one thing. Our bus drivers are the first and last person to see these kids every single day. If we have quality bus drivers, they could start their day off right, and they could finish their day in the best way possible. If we have a bunch of sourpusses in there and they don't want to, they're mad about not getting paid and having to be overworked, they may not be the right person that we want to see our students seeing the first of the day or the end of the day. So paying our bus drivers, showing them how much they're appreciated, will definitely be rewarding for not just them, but for the students that they serve as well. So thank you, Mr. Ogeron, for bringing this to the board, and I'm looking forward to phase 2 and 3 and 4 and whatever else we can do. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Wazam?
Where do I sign up? Nice raise. But seriously, I know transportation has dealt with ups and downs for so long in trying to get it done. And I'm so glad that you did come up with this and worked with everyone together. And you guys are so valued. I know y'all been feeling maybe not so much, but you're valued, you're appreciated. Yeah, it's been well past time that y'all get some real money there. And y'all take care of our kids, which is, like Dr. Trahan said, I don't know. That's pretty tough to be on the road with all them kids, but y'all do a great job. So thank y'all very much. I wish the whole staff was here as far as the bus drivers, but thank y'all. And thank you again, Mr. Ogeron.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Mr. LaWard?
Yeah, I'm happy we could give the bus drivers something. I know we've been fighting for it, and I've been talking to them, and they've been doing a tremendous job. I know what that was about a year ago. We had a meal for the bus drivers and the workers that turned out nice, and people don't realize, you know, they get up early in the morning. These bus drivers get up, and by the time they get to that first kid, they're on the job an hour or so. And the parents, you know, gonna fuss at the bus driver for they late or something gonna happen. The parents gonna attack the bus drivers. And I also want to thank Mr. Obear. He's been out, I know, but he's concerned. And the ladies and gentlemen that work for us are doing a wonderful job. And guys, I'm just happy y'all stayed with us. And this is a start, and I hope it's not the end where we can truly give you more. It's a start in the right direction. It's not a means to the end, but it's in the right direction to pay you what you work. And I hope we can keep doing this to keep the bus drivers we have and get some more drivers. But it's, thank y'all guys, because y'all been deserving this.
Mr. Horry?
Yeah, I think Dr. Trahan, I think I can speak for about 25 years of being up here that I've seen transportation basically have went from here to down here, and I think that what we're proposing or we vote on tonight is something that, I mean, I think we all, you know, shout for joy for, because we definitely know that, like Mr. Ogeron stated, that most problem we have, the immediate problem we have is getting kids to school, getting kids from school. And I think this would be a start to address that. And actually, to be honest with you, I have to be honest with you guys, I've been advertising already with people, trying to recruit, to try to get people to, even some bus drivers that even have retired, I'm trying to get them to come back, you know, and talking to other people. You know, it's listed as technically a part-time job, but it's really not part-time. It's basically a full-time position when you really think about it. So, again, myself, you know, I'll applaud and appreciate you guys. I know the board appreciate you guys, and I think Mike stated earlier, somebody stated earlier that you might feel like you are not appreciated, but you appreciate it. Every day I see that yellow bus rolling, I see that somebody going to school to learn something. So keep up the good work, and like I said, it's a start, Mr. Ogeron, and I know that at some point that you're going to have to, or this board is going to probably have to make some tough decisions on some things in order to continue on going in that direction. You know, so everything sounds good now, but I just want to just throw it out there that the money's going to have to come from somewhere. So at some point, sometime, we're going to have to look at some things that maybe might be outdue or may not need anymore that the board will have to make a decision on. So, thank you, sir.
Can I add one more comment, Ms. Dr. Trahan?
Yes, Ms.
One short comment. I like the comparison of all the salaries here, and I see that even we're ahead of everyone, but Council on Aging is sort of close second to this. But does Council on Aging pay insurance for their workers? And do they have retirement for their workers like we pay? I mean, those are extra things that we forget to mention, you know, that comes with this job. And so we're at the top of the game, but we have a lot of other benefits that go with that. So I just wanted to mention that.
And Mr. Hamlin? Excuse me, yes.
Did everybody finish? First off, thank you, members of the board, for approving this salary schedule. There are a couple of other individuals I'd like to recognize that had a lot of input in proposing this. Before he left, for his personal reasons, Mr. Aubert, Devlin Aubert, met with the superintendent and I way at the beginning of school and explained to us the importance of this and his own views. I want y'all to know Mr. Aubert fought very hard for y'all to get this. Pray for him, and I know he's very pleased and very happy that this is happening. He convinced me right off, and he deserves a lot of credit for fighting for y'all to get this. Also, Mr. Hodson, Matt Hodson, did a lot of research on getting the information from all our competitors. He's from St. Charles, Lafourche, Rapides, Lafayette, Assumption, St. Mary, Council on Aging, Pelican Waste, Hart, probably just to name a few. So Mr. Hodson did a great job getting the information we needed to come up with this salary schedule. I know a lot of other members of the staff did that as well. Those two individuals, Mr. Aubert and Mr. Hodson, I know did a lot of the legwork. And I'm sure the superintendent is going to recognize a few other people if I missed any. But thank y'all all for passing this.
I just want to mention one small item, but it's pretty important. This salary proposal is effective July 1st of 2023.
So to tack on to Mr. Hamner, so Becky and Michelle, thank you all. Sandra, thank you. Dr. Yarbrough, thank you. Mark, thanks for meeting with us in those meetings and all that. So there's a lot of people. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I know.
So great job, everyone.
Moving on.
No, we have to vote on it. We didn't vote.
Or did? We had a unanimous, yes, we
did
did
have
vote
a-
on it. It is passed.
Oh, okay.
Done deal.
Excuse me.
We kind of slipped that in the very beginning. Item number 3, a matter pertaining, oh, excuse me, that's,
Okay, item 3. Matter pertaining to the adoption of the resolution granting authorization to execute agreements to implement the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Program. The recommendation is that the board approve and adopt the following resolution granting authorization to allow the board president to execute agreements required to implement the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Program for recovery from Hurricane Ida.
So moved.
moved by Mr. Hamlin, second by Mr. Voisin. Any public comments? Mr. Hamlin,
No, ma'am.
Mr. Voisin, any other board members?
I'd like to call Adam LaFleur for some explanation of this resolution.
Let me finish the vote first.
I'm
Any
sorry.
objections? None heard, so ordered. Mr. LaFleur.
Yeah, so this is a program that the state put out to help with recovery from not only the 2021 storms, but also the 2020 storms. It is geared to your temporary repairs that was not covered by the 100% match. So this is about $2.3 million that we will get back that will help with the cost of temporary repairs. So as of now, y'all are looking to only have to pay about $150,000 from all the temporary work, with this including with the rest of the 100% and everything else. So it's a good program, and we're hoping to get the money as soon as we can move forward with this and submit a reimbursement request.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Again, All South, thank you, Adam, Stevie, and Finance again for working this. This is like you said, very, very big for us. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, item 4, consideration of approval of bid received for the building repair project at Andrew Price School. The recommendation is that the board approve and accept the lowest bid received, meeting all specifications for building repair project in response to Hurricane Ida at Andrew Price School from Grand Isle Shipyard LLC, P.O. Box 820 Galliano 70354, in the amount of $271,750, and establish a total project budget in the amount of $304,710. Funds to be derived from FEMA reimbursements, $274,239, and local funds, $30,471, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto.
Moved by Mr. Voisin.
Second.
Second by Ms. Benoit. Any public comment? Mr. Voisin? Ms. Benoit? Any other board members? Any objections? None heard, so ordered.
Okay, number 5, the consideration of approval of the bid received for building repair project at Terrebonne High School. The recommendation is that the board approve and accept the lowest bid received, meeting all specifications for the building repair project in response to Hurricane Ida at Terrebonne High School from Group Contractors LLC, P.O. Box 83560, Baton Rouge, Louisiana 70884, in the amount of $758,800, except alternate 1 to repair existing, this is a new word for me, parapet wall on main building in the amount of $38,000, and establish a total project budget in the amount of $884,793. Funds to be derived from FEMA reimbursement funds, $796,313.70, and local funds, $88,479.30. And further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto.
So moved.
So moved, Mr. Harding. Second by Ms. Benoit. Any public comment? Mr. Harding? Mr. Benoit? Any other board members?
What's a parapet?
A parapet, I was told, is the vertical wall at the top of the building that goes vertically up. You know, when you're on the roof and you're standing and there's a wall that extends, it makes like the parapet wall.
And what happened, it was struck by lightning.
Yeah.
So this is kind of outside of hurricane, but while the contractor's there, we asked if they could repair that. It has to be repaired, so this would be a great time to slip it in as an alternate.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Where were we? Any objections? None heard, so ordered.
Okay, number
Dr.
6.
Trahan, I'd just like to add, this is only the beginning for Terrebonne High.
Yes.
We got a lot of plans coming up for Terrebonne High as soon as the architect presents his conceptual drawings, and it'll once again be the flagship school in the parish, like it should be.
Number 6, consideration of approval of bid received for the repair project at Houma Junior High School. The recommendation is that the board approve and accept the lowest bid received, meeting all specifications, for the building repair project in response to Hurricane Ida at Houma Junior High School from Freetown Builders LLC, 313 Garden Street, Lafayette, Louisiana, 70501, in the amount of $997,000. Reject the alternate and establish a total project budget in the amount of $1,105,086. Funds to be derived from FEMA reimbursement funds, $994,577.40, and local funds, $100,508.60. And further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hamner. Second. Second by Mr. Ford. Any public comment? Mr. Hamner?
Again, this is beginning with, some major repairs to Houma Junior High and upgrading. Hopefully, we'll see Houma Junior High again looking like it did in its heyday.
Mr. Ford? Any other board members? Any objections? None heard, so ordered.
Okay, number 7, consideration of approval of a change order for Oaklawn Middle School. The recommendation is that the board approve and accept a change order in the amount of $115,755.93 for the relocation of outside condenser units at Oaklawn Middle School as part of the Oaklawn Middle School HVAC upgrade project from the front of the main building to the side. Funds to be derived from the Building Fund, and further authorize the board president to sign all necessary documents pertaining thereto.
Moved by Mr. Ford.
Second.
By Mr. Crowder. Any public comment? Mr. Ford?
I just want to say that, you know, this is one of the things we talked about a couple of months ago, and I was definitely a proponent of, because with the AC units the way they were, or where they are now currently, is in the front of the school, and it kind of takes away from the aesthetic of the school itself. So it's going to be bringing them into the courtyard, I believe, or onto the ends.
Onto the ends.
Onto the ends. So you actually have a more picturesque, you know,
Yes.
fascia of the school. So, yeah, it's an added expense, but it's also something that's going to bring new light to that school. I mean, this school is in dire need of something positive, and I'm glad that we're doing these upgrades. And, you know, Oak Lawn is a place that's near and dear to my heart. I taught there 18 years ago, and I loved it. I was a basketball coach there. But also within this district, there's a lot. I see one or two here, but there's a number of people that taught with me at Oak Lawn that are all in leadership positions in this school district now. That school creates winners. It really does. And a lot of our leaders in this district are from there. So they're going to be happy to see this as well. So thank you.
Dr. Trahan?
Mr. Crowder was next.
Okay.
Mr. Crowder?
I would just like to ditto what Mr. Ford said. I think it's an aesthetic, pleasing look for the school that is well needed.
Ms. Benmore?
Yeah, I just have a question about the change order. When the design was first done, why was that not considered then? Why was that an afterthought, that it had to require a change order?
I'm not sure, it just was an afterthought. I really don't have a reason why it was. Instead, we started looking at upgrading the windows and the new walls, and we looked at the renditions with the existing, it just won't fit. It was kind of like it was an afterthought, it
Yeah.
really was.
I mean, that's a question, because you want to avoid change orders if all
Yes.
possible. You'd like to, when you have a bid, to be able to vote on that cost and keep
But-
that cost.
Yes, ma'am, but I think Ms. Benoit is, even if we would have agreed to, we couldn't have used the ESSER funds to do that. So
Oh,
it had
okay.
to be kind of a change order for us to kind of
I
foot
see.
the bill, so to speak.
Okay. Thank
Anyone
you.
else? Any objections? None heard, so ordered.
Okay, item 8, personnel section. Leaves of absence. The recommendation is that the board approve a family and medical leave in accordance with policy file F-11.4A for Erica A. Billiot, custodian 3A at Oak Lawn Middle School, beginning September 21st, 2023 through December 15th, 2023 medical.
Moved by Mr. Voisin. Second by Mr. Harding. Any public comment? Mr. Voisin? Mr. Harding? Any other board members? Any objections? None heard, so ordered.
Okay, leaves without pay. Recommendation that the board approve leave of absence without pay in accordance with policy file F-11.10 for Terrell J. Short, school bus operator in the Transportation Department, beginning July 31st, 2023 through May 24th, 2024, personal.
Lost the bus driver.
So moved by Mr. Harding. Second by Mr. Voisin. Any public comment? Mr. Harding? Mr. Voisin? Any other board members? Any objections? None heard, so ordered.
Next recommendation is that the board approve a leave of absence without pay in accordance with policy file F-11.10 for Valerie F. Piku, school bus operator in the Transportation Department, beginning July 31st, 2023 through May 24th, 2024, personal.
Moved by Mr. Lagarde. Second by Mr. Crowder. Any public comment? Ms. Lagarde? Mr. Crowder? Any other board members? Mr. Ford?
I just have a question. So I don't like to move and second these because I don't think personnel matters really should come before the board, but my question is for clarity. So if someone takes a leave of absence for any reason, whether it's medical, personal, can they elect to come back earlier if they choose to?
Dr. Yarbrough?
They can.
Yes.
So maybe they may be incentivized after tonight to come back earlier. There's just a thought. Just want to
Good
make sure.
point.
Cross our fingers.
Perhaps.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else? Any objections or none heard or?
Okay, item 8B are the personnel actions for the period of July 21st, 2023 through August 25th, 2023, and that's for your information only, board members. And at this time, item 9 are the legislative updates, and I, at this time, yield to Ms. Benoit for a report on legislative updates.
Thank you, Mr. Ogeron. And as you know, the legislature is out of session right now. The last report that I made was after the last session that they had in the spring. So there's no new updates there. However, I think it's important to announce that we have a big election coming up, and that is going to be October the 14th, and that there's still time for voter registration through September the 13th. There is early voting that starts September 30th through October the 7th. And please don't forget to vote. These are big elections. We have the gubernatorial election, we have our parish president, we have parish council, which we have a candidate here as well for that. So there's a lot of important votes, so please get out and vote. Also, I'd like to announce that We the People is sponsoring this, invite you to a demonstration of hand-counted paper ballot election. According to Article 11, Section 2, the state says ballots shall be counted in public, and this is going to have a demonstration of how that's going to take place. And this is September the 21st from 6:30 to 8:30, and it's at the Parish Sheriff's Rifle Range. So everybody's invited. If you'd like to see that demonstration, please come out. And that's it. Thanks. Sure.
On September 21st at Ellendale Country Club, the Terrebonne Retired Teachers Association is hosting a forum, and all the candidates for Senate District 20 and 21 and the legislative candidates for District 53 have accepted, along with the parish president candidates. It's going to start at 9. Well, doors open at 9. It'll start at 9:30, and Lynn Elsie, the president of the Terrebonne Retired Teachers Association, has asked me to extend an invitation to all the members of the board if you can join us for that, because especially if you can come for the Senate or the legislative candidates. As you know, those are so important to us as educators when it comes to getting the MFP passed, and along with a number of other educational issues. So it'll be informative, and there'll be a lunch at 12 noon for those of you that can stay. But it's September 21st at Ellendale Country Club.
So it'd be like 9 to 1, basically, about that?
Correct, yeah. It'll start, doors open at 9. The forum will start at 9:30. Lunch will be around noonish, and that'll be it, yeah. So if you can come for all a part of it, that would be great.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Hamlin. One question, is there any cost for entry?
If you stay in for lunch, I think it's $18 for lunch.
Okay. All right.
Number
Where
10?
are we? Number 10.
Okay, number 10 is a matter bearing upon pending litigation, Terrebonne Parish School Board versus Group Contractors LLC, docket number 195980, 32nd Judicial Court, District Court, Parish of Terrebonne, State of Louisiana. Executive session is now being requested at this
We'll have a
time.
motion.
move that we move to executive session.
Ms. Ford,
Second.
second by Ms. Benoit. Any public comment? Ms. Ford?
Yes, thank you guys for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Be safe. God bless. Love you.